G'day, I'm Peter Anthony, author of Collabradabra, The Magic of Collaboration. Today I'm talking with Beata about how to win a pitch and, more importantly, I guess, how to lose one, both before the pitch takes place and when you're actually pitching. Looking forward to sharing these ideas with you.
Hello, fabulous person. Beata Gillette here, the Growth Architect. Welcome back to the Business Growth Architect Show, where we bring you cutting-edge business strategies from some of the world's most successful entrepreneurs, business transformation experts, and visionaries who want to help you to scale your impact. Look for one tangible strategy that you can take back and implement right away. And now back to our guest. Welcome, everyone. This is your host, Beata Gillette from the Business Growth Architect Show. And today we're talking about pitching, all the stuff that you need to do on a daily basis. And sometimes you need to pitch when you are asking for money, venture capital, angel investors, and the whole lot. And our authority on the subject today is Peter Anthony, who is going to share with us exactly what you need to know to do these pitches successfully and to understand if that's even right for you. Peter, I'm so happy that you're here on the show.
G'day, Beata. Welcome from Sydney, Australia.
Wonderful. And so, Peter, tell somebody who has never heard about you, who you are and what you do.
What I do is I work with clients in 12 different countries, helping them understand how to grow their business profitably by winning more of the pitches they need to win. And I've been doing that since 1998, so I'm getting the hang of it now.
I agree. So talk to us about pitches. I want to really dive in with you today. What's the definition of a pitch, and why is pitching important for our listeners?
It's important because it's the most profitable way to grow the business when it's done properly. And I've had the good fortune of meeting many entrepreneurs and many people with hugely smart and useful ideas that don't know how to pitch them. So they never get up, they never get the funding or the investment that the idea deserves because they're too internally centric and too focused on what a great idea, great approach, great product, great SAS solution they may have. So they're looking in the wrong place, and surprise, surprise, they don't find what they're looking for.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Should we just get the most commonly made mistakes out of the way? Do you want to start maybe there, and let's tell them what not to focus on, and then we shift into what to focus on instead?
What not to do, number one, focus on yourself. Focus on your product, focus on your company. That's big mistake number one. Big mistake number two is not engaging the client or prospect and thinking that you can create the pitch or crack the pitch by yourselves with a group of smart people in a boardroom. Number three would be over-relying on presenting and PowerPoint. They'd be the three biggest problems I see. The main one would be not engaging the client deeply enough or early enough. To me, the pitch is a collaboration. It's a co-creation. Pitching is not like pizzas. I mean, a lot of people think I'm delivering a pitch like I deliver a pizza. Here's the pitch. Here's the pizza. You ordered the Super Supreme. Here it is. And isn't it great? Aren't our PowerPoint slides great? Aren't all our team dressed in awesome suits? Isn't this boardroom awesome? How good do we look? How smart are we? And I see that mistake being made regularly. And quite often I'll say to clients when I'm meeting them, I'll say, look, can you pitch to me? Give me the pitch. If you're the pitch guy, give me the pitch. So I'll say, pitch to me. And they'll stand there and they'll be beautifully dressed, have great slides and all looking fantastic. And they'll spend 45 minutes pitching to me. And I'll say to them, can I be honest with you? And they say, yeah. I say, you sure? And they go, yeah. And I'm thinking, well, I could get fired here even before the assignment starts. I'll say it's, which I'm happy to have happen, because unless my approach is going to work for you, I really can't work for you. I can't work with you. And I'll say it's boring and it's confusing and it's all about you. And they're a bit stunned because often they're very senior, very wealthy people I'm working with. They think, who is this guy from Sydney, Australia, telling us we're boring and confusing? But I say, look, it's very hard to bore somebody into buying from you. It's even harder to confuse them into buying from you. So if you'd like to see an alternative, I'm the guy. If you'd like that shined up more, I'm not your guy, because no matter how well you shine it, it's still not going to work.
Yeah, I mean, being from Los Angeles and seeing a lot of pitches, especially, with our proximity to Silicon Valley, is amazing to me. There's a whole culture around pitching. So I want to make sure that we outline this for the audience sort of very clearly so they understand that, a lot of times when we have a business that has a good idea, it doesn't even have to be a great idea, but they get into these incubators. And then in these incubators, inevitably, there are some people that are telling them that you're going to have to pitch and you're going to have to find your VC or your angel investor, or you got to go get the capital, you got to go big, or you got to go home, you 10x and the whole 9 yards. And then I meet him at a pitch competition. And then I talk to somebody who has maybe a prototype, has no sales, and tells me that within the next 3 years, it's going to be $1 billion company that they want to sell for $3 billion in 5 years. And my face is one of awe and surprise, not necessarily in a positive way. So you are absolutely correct. People talk about why somebody would invest in them. Now that you told us it can't be about me, it can't be about what that thing does that I have, what is it about then instead?
What it's about, it starts with a shift in mindset, away from you, away from the product or service that you're pitching, and towards the client. And all the best research out of Wharton Business School is suggesting now the more client-centric the approach is, the more likely it is to be successful. So the first rule, if you like, of pitching is to put the client or the potential prospect in the center of the conversation and think who is ideal for us as an investor or as a potential buyer or client of what we're pitching, and how do we make what we're doing more ideal for them. And what the research is suggesting is that that's when you're more likely to build what the clients are looking for, which is someone that uniquely understands their needs and their environment. So the first step is to say, who is this ideal client? And how is what we have unique and ideal for them in a valuable way? Because if you look at the exit research, what the investors and potential clients are looking for, or potential customers are looking for, is someone who uniquely understands my needs and my environment. And it's very challenging to understand what they're looking for that is unique unless you engage them early. What I would recommend is get the investor or the potential client or potential customer of what you're building into the tent as early as possible. It's the opposite of what Kevin Costner recommended in Field of Dreams. He recommended build it and they will come. I would say build it and you'll have an empty stadium. Unless you just happen to stumble across something that they're looking for that is unique. And even then, it's pretty arrogant to say, you know what, I've just spent 2 years working out what you might like and I haven't bothered asking you. A bit like a relationship, a bit like dating someone and saying, you know what, I'm going to plan out our whole life in a unique and valuable way to you, and you're going to have no input in that conversation. I mean, how would that work?
I want to interrupt you here and just dive into this a little bit more, because I think that for a lot of people, this is already a pretty shocking or revolutionary idea. So you are saying that the investor isn't just there to look at the bottom line and take their money and invest it in the best idea. So you say there's a whole other piece to this that most people don't understand. And that is what? Are there particular criteria to that we should know about?
If I'm an investor, and I've spoken to plenty of them over the years, I'm looking for something that's going to reliably give me a unique return. And I'm thinking, okay, not just the return for me, I'm a private equity guy. What I'm looking for is how is what you're offering or suggesting or recommending to me going to be uniquely valuable to the clients or customers that this is designed to address? And I use that word unique advisedly because you think, well, how are you planning to do that? And if you're pitching to an investor, that's what they're looking for, because they're often sitting in a room being pitched to all day. And if you ask them at the end of the day, how was it? They'll say it was boring. Nobody was really understanding what we're looking for. If you even look at Shark Tank, the best pitches in Shark Tank are the ones that truly understand the customer or client that particular product or service is designed to pitch for. So I would say bring your customer or potential client into the center of the pitch and show the investor how you have a unique understanding. And you can ask them that. You can ask the clients or potential customers, engage them early and prove that what you're doing is unique and valuable to them. That's how to engage the investor. The same way as you engage the customer or the client, you're ultimately creating this organization around, because you think the client needs to be in the center of the organization. And the more they're in the center, the more profitable growth you're likely to project, and the more likely you are to attract that investor that can see the strategy that you're implementing or that you have, and it will set you apart from your competitors. because they're seeing people all day, correct, Beata? That these investors are being pitched to all day.
Yeah, 100%. And I have a follow-up question about that right after this quick message. Thank you so much for listening to the show. This is Beate, the growth architect. I'm so excited that you're here. Thank you so much for your time. Have you ever wondered why your business is not growing as quickly as you would like it to be? Well, you may have a business growth blocker. And if you'd like to find out what that business growth blocker is, go and take our brand new quiz at growthblockerquiz.com. And in only a few minutes, you're not just going to find out what that blocker is, but also what to do about it. Again, go to growthblockerquiz.com. And now back to the show. And we're back here with Peter Anthony talking about venture capital investing, angel investors, and most importantly, pitching. So, Peter, you just talked about that the majority of pitches is about the product, what the product does. So it's very technical. And that people forget when they're pitching that they're number one pitching to real people with desires, wants, and needs.
Yes.
I remember very famously a Shark Tank pitch where Mark Cuban's son, who has eczema, and the pitch was about a sugar scrub that helped people with eczema with skin conditions in a natural way without all the additives. And he invested in this company for the whole reason that he knew that it would make his wife happy to have something to help their son with the skin condition. And when that intense personal connection was established, the rest sort of was easy. So how do we find out? Is there a trick, a strategy on how we connect with our potential investors? And is it different, angel, venture, a bank? I mean, is there a difference in how I need to show up, or is it the same anywhere I go and ask for money?
It's pretty much the same. I mean, obviously, they've got different balance sheets and that they've got different goals they're looking to achieve. If you're talking to the investor, you're thinking, okay, I need to understand how she's making a decision or how he's making a decision. And there's 4 things I need to understand before I pitch to them. I need to understand what those criteria are, like what criteria they're using to decide in my favor if I'm pitching to them. The second thing I need to know is what order those criteria are in. And if you get those 2, you're not even at the start line, but they're mandatories. The third is you need to understand what each of those criteria mean. Now, unless you happen to be an angel investor or a banker yourself, it's very unlikely that you'll understand what those criteria mean to them. You might assume you understand, and that's going to get in the way of building a useful relationship with them. So what the criteria are, what order they're in, what they mean. Like if they say something like, we're looking for profitable growth, to pick a nice generic one. Well, what does profitable growth mean for you? What sort of opportunity is one that you would be saying yes to? And really dig in, because we all think neuro-linguistically, and when we hear words, we think they mean what we think they mean, which is obvious, right? But if you're meeting someone that's quite challenging or thinks quite differently than you, it's likely not only their criteria are different, but what those criteria mean are different. And the fourth thing you need to understand is what they want to avoid the most. Because then there's an old school selling technique about selling sizzle, not steak. Not about selling sizzle, it's about not being what it is that they want to avoid. And having that conversation with them way before the pitch takes place to say, look, we have an idea that you may be interested in. We're not sure yet. So you're always giving them an opportunity to exit and you an opportunity to exit. So it just want to understand clearly what it is that you're looking for, like what sort of criteria you're using, what sort of order they might be in, what they mean to you and to your organization, and importantly, what you want to avoid in getting involved with an organization like us. Because then what you're going to do is you're going to have a pipe, not a funnel. I'm very anti-funnel thinking, like the funnel thinking that says what we're going to do is pitch to a lot of people, and then we're going to pitch to 100, then maybe 10 say yes, and then we close 2 or 3 of that 100, right? So what you've done is you've alienated 90 people to talk to 10. I'm suggesting you make those decisions early and qualify people out really early in the process so you can focus on the few investors that are real opportunities for you. Because what I'm suggesting takes time. It takes time with the right prospects. And then you can arrive at a stage where you may or may not be ready to pitch. And they'll respect you because they'll be thinking, wow, this Peter came in with this idea and he walked away from us. And we're one of the biggest banks in Los Angeles, one of the biggest angel, because I know that what I'm potentially pitching to you is not what you're looking for. I might waste your time on my time. And I'm building relationship. I'm saving my
I
time
love
to
it.
pitch
Yeah.
on opportunities that are going to work.
I have to interrupt you here because this is like so important that I really want to make sure we drive this point home. What you're talking about is good sales. That's what we do in
Yeah,
good sales, right? In good sales, we do the
yeah,
pre-vetting. We have a conversation.
yeah,
I always compare this, Peter, to like all this LinkedIn nonsense right now when people like, I call it show up to the first date naked when
yeah, yeah,
without ever even have spoken to them, they don't know what you do. Nor have they even
yeah,
time
yeah.
to look at what you do. And they come in with an immediate pitch and it's so bad, it's cringeworthy. So how do we help our listeners to overcome the fear of having this conversation early on? Because I bet, and correct me if I'm wrong, I bet that 95% of everyone who thinks about venture capital, angel investing is busy working on the pitch, never talks to the person that they need to talk to until day X comes. So, how do we
That's right.
get them to have this P day, the pitch day, be then just the continuation of the conversation? That's what I'm hearing from you. It's like the
Yeah.
actual the pitch then just becomes the hey, we finally did, here's the result of what we talked about. How do they get to talk to these people earlier? What do they do?
Well, it's a great question, and it's a question I often ask potential clients I'm working with. I'll ask them, I'll say, why aren't you talking to these investors now? And they'll say, we are,
We're not ready.
in inverted commas, we're afraid to talk to them until we're ready, right? So it's okay. Let me get this straight. You're too afraid to talk to them about this idea that is so groundbreaking and so awesome, it's going to blow their socks off. You're too scared to do that, but you'd like them to have the confidence in you. So you're looking for more confidence from them than you have in yourself.
Ouch.
So how confident are you? And I have these conversations because I also practice what I preach, because I literally don't want to work with clients that I can't be successful for. They say, here's my approach. Here's how it works. Here's why it works. Here's who it's worked for. So this is what you're engaging in. And I talk to them early in the process, as early as possible, because I don't want that funnel. I don't want to waste my time talking to people who will never be a client of mine. I don't want to waste their time on my, not because I'm arrogant or I'm some genius, but because my time's limited. I've got other things to do. I've got 5 kids and a wife. I've got a surfboard. I've got friends. I've got other things I want to do apart from wasting 80% of my time talking to people I can't help. I want to talk to the 20% or 10% that I can help. If you genuinely believe in what you're doing, and I believe that you do, and you're passionate about it, you're going to share that passion nice and early. Get them engaged early. And here's the thing, you co-create the pitch. You're not delivering a pizza. You don't cook the pizza and deliver it to them. You're cooking it with them. You're co-creating that with them. And when you co-create, when they've got their fingerprints all over it, when it comes to the pitch stage, you're just confirming what you've already discussed. You're not looking for a yes or a no. You're taking that relationship to the next stage, and you've been warming it up for some time. Does that make sense?
I mean, I love this. I mean, I've been, my goal for this particular quarter has been to really nail the sales piece.
Yeah.
Last quarter was the lead generation, the client attraction, and now it's the sales. And the
Yeah.
deeper I go into, studying and reading the books and looking into the data, the more I recognize is that this fearless, regular conversation that you would have with somebody and the honesty that comes with it to say,
Yeah.
I don't know if we're a good fit, but I'm here to talk
Yeah.
to you, to tell you what I'm thinking and where I want to take this. And then I want to hear from you where you want to take your business or your
Yeah.
portfolio or your investment portfolio, correct? Is that sort of the gist of it? It's a relationship.
It's what of course it's a relationship, and it's not dating, it's having a relationship or a potential relationship. There's a huge difference. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago, a good mate of mine found himself single. His marriage broke up. He found himself single. I said, so what are you going to do? We call him the Spaniard. He's a lovely guy, surfs with us regularly. He's originally from Catalonia in Spain. He said, what I'm going to do, I'm going to get online dating, and I'm going to date a new woman every week for a year. I said, wow, every week, that's 50 people. Really, why don't you just think about who you're looking for, like who might be an ideal partner for you, and spend more time looking for that rather than dating 50 people and hoping one of them is someone that you're going to have a relationship with. It's a similar perspective. You use a beautiful word called selling. What I'd recommend to you is everything you read about selling, do the opposite of selling. There's no closing sales. There's only opening relationships. And you keep opening up that relationship and you keep developing it over time. And the second thing I'd like you to think about is to think about collaborating. When you're collaborating with the investor to co-create something that didn't exist before, which is why I call this Collabradabra, or the magic of collaboration, like it rhymes with abracadabra, because magic happens when you're both working together and you co-create something special that you can't do alone. The investor can't do it without you. You can't do it without them. And you're not selling something to them because you're asking them to be a buyer. If you ask the investor to be a buyer, it means they're going to get cynical, they're going to distance themselves from you and put downward pressure on investment fees and rates. If you want that, go ahead and knock yourself out selling. It's better to collaborate. Say, hey, let's collaborate here. Let's create something that we couldn't do alone. That's the sort of relationship I'm looking for with you, as opposed to a sale. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. So let's talk about what are we giving our listeners as a strategy that might be sort of struggling with this concept. And I can tell you with absolute certainty, based on many of my conversations, is that the relationship between an investor and a business owner is often completely misunderstood. So not all money is good money for your business.
No.
So help them out. What's a good strategy for them to get started and get their head around who should they ask? We talked about how to put that pitch together, but where do they start? Is it a mindset shift? Is it a get real kind of thing? Like, where do we start?
I'd say it starts even before the conversation with the investor. I'd say it starts with understanding. A lot of the venture capitalists I've worked with are very, what I call product centric. They've got a great idea or a great service, which is awesome, right? If you think back a couple of years and you think, okay, I'm Airbnb or I'm Uber. Before the digital disruption that created those organizations, they uniquely understood. Uber understood what people were looking for in a taxi service. Airbnb understood what people were disenfranchised about with regards to hotels. They uniquely understood what those people were looking for and created something that was quite magnificent that people engage with. So I would start with saying, who are we in business to serve? And put that client or that consumer in the center of the organization and say, how is what we're offering or what we're doing uniquely valuable to them? Once you understand that, then you can go to the investor and say, hey, forget the product. Say, we've got a unique understanding of what these consumers or customers are looking for. And that's what we're asking you to invest in, because we need your support. We need your partnership to help us deliver this uniquely valuable idea, concept, product to this particular group of consumers or customers. Then they'll get engaged. And we'd like to collaborate with you in making it happen for them. That's the mindset shift. That's the big shift. And the smart investors will understand that you understand what that consumer or customer is looking for, and you'll engage them in that piece. Does that make sense?
I think what you just did is you just took that whole pitch model and you turned it upside down, because most of the time the pitch model is, what's the product? What does it do? What problem does it solve? So now the problem that it solves is connected to the customer and the consumer. So I get that. But you were saying before you even build out sort of the functionality of it, make sure that you have such a deep understanding of the person that you're trying to solve the problem for, that this whole piece becomes a no-brainer. And then you bring in somebody, an investor, who already has in his portfolio things that are similar for this particular audience, who may have a very deep subject matter expertise of this particular client avatar, so that they then can say, you know what, you're missing this and you're missing this, and that's the collaborative piece. Am I understanding this correctly?
Yes. And then you're going to the investor with a proposition that's very hard not to get involved with, because most other pitches I see are product centric. They're all about the company and the product and not about the end consumer or customer. And then because in that case, you're pitching all the time, not so much you're meeting lots of investors and pitching. You're building the pitch with them. You're co-creating it with them. And then when you've finally got that created, you're the whole story, if you like, created. And this is the customer, the ultimate customer or consumer story we're talking about here. When you're actually pitching, you're pitching with the story, not with your story or their story. You're pitching with the consumer's or customer's story. You're saying, and classic story structure, when you're pitching, you say, okay, here is this customer or consumer, right? They're a hotel customer. They're a taxi customer. Here's what they want. I want a profitable, I want an easy, safe ride that arrives on time, that knows where they're going, that's easy for me to get engaged in. Here's our idea. It's Uber. It's an online app. You're going to get a driver that knows where they're going. They're tracked where the car is. You can pay very simply. It's easy, it's simple, it's affordable. We know this is what those consumers or those travelers are looking for. Or with Airbnb, we know what they're looking for. And we've built a model around what they're looking for. Here's our projections, and here's how we're confident that it's going to work. This is what they're looking for, but they can't get it because they don't like taxis. They don't like the way hotels are treating them. So here's what the consumer wants. Here's why they're not getting it. Here's how we can, by unique understanding of their needs and their environment, we've created this service, this product, this app, whatever it might be. And that's why we're looking for your partnership to scale this out and share in the profitable growth. It's a different story then. It's a different story than we're the geniuses in the nice suits that are standing in a nice boardroom pitching you 50 PowerPoint slides about how clever we are. It's a very different energy. It's almost a humbling energy, if you like.
So talk to me about the actual pitch, because I don't think we've done this yet. So let's say our stars have aligned. We've done everything right. We've built the relationship. And, now we go in, we know that our potential investors are now waiting to see what we kind of put together. Are there any tips you can give the audience to say, don't do this, do this? You said PowerPoint bad. So what pointers can you give them to nail the pitch?
Well, if you've done the pre-work, the relationship work well, you'll understand who's in the room, like who you're pitching to, and you'll understand what sort of criteria they have, what those criteria mean, and what they want to avoid the most. So you know the audience, if you like, you know who you're pitching to. Then what I'd recommend is within that, pitch with a story. So you've got your ultimate client or consumer or customer of what you're developing or what this product or service is doing. You've got them in the center, and it's their story you're telling. You're saying, here's who this person is as an individual. Think like if you watch a brand ad. You always see the consumer in the ad very, very quickly. You see what he or she wants, and you see why they're not getting it. Then you see the hero product introduced in like 30 or 60 seconds. The reason that formula has been alive since the days of David Ogilvy and Leo Burnett is because that formula works. So you're expanding that formula out. Here's the customer. Here's our unique understanding of them. Here's what they're looking for and why they want it. But, and here's the big but, here's why they're not getting it now, or they're not as satisfied as they could be. And they may not even be aware of what it is that you could potentially offer. And here's how our particular product service offering, by uniquely understanding their needs and their environment, will be successful with them. Because, by the way, we've already been working with these consumers and customers for the past 12 months, and they've got their fingerprints all over the development. Because by not surprising the investor, you're also not surprising the consumer or customer, because you've got them engaged too. The biggest food companies, consumer companies in the world, whenever they're developing a new product, they've always got the shopper or the consumer engaged in all the development process. You'll never see a major food company release a product unless they've taste tested it and product tested it and package tested it to death. So they know it's going to work. So when they're pitching it to a big retailer, they say, hey, you should stock this item because we know it works because we've engaged the consumer or shopper already. They're not doing that because they're great humanitarians. They're doing it because they know it works. So take that approach. Think, I'm going to collaborate with the investor, understand what they're looking for, and I'm going to put my ultimate customer or client in the center of the pitch, and I'm going to tell their story and why we are a unique and valuable way of helping them get more of what they're looking for, because we know that already. Then it's a no-brainer. because you've done all the homework already. It's an easy yes. Rather than one big yes, it's a series of little yeses that you've had over a period of time, which might take you 3 to 6 months or more. But you're going to get a biggie, like you get that yes at the end, rather than the big PowerPoint deck. I mean, I think a pitch deck is the best way to lose a pitch. And it's the best way to lose a pitch. And I see it, they'll say, oh, Peter, I'll send you our pitch. I say, really? You're going to send me the pitch? How are you going to do that? Oh, we're going to email it to you or put it in a Dropbox or a Google File. Really? So you're going to send me 50 PowerPoint slides to look at, and that's your pitch. You know what, guys? Your pitch is the quality of the relationship you've built with the investor and the quality of the understanding you have with the ultimate client or consumer. You can't send that to me.
Powerful.
I mean,
Excellent.
I'm sorry I get so
No, I mean, I love it. I mean,
I really believe in this.
We packed it. We packed this interview with just about as much as we possibly can. So, Peter, so somebody who's listening to this and says, oh my gosh, Peter, I need you. Where do we send them?
Well, half are going to say, who's this nut job? Other half, we could be talking to this guy. Look, just reach out, peteranthonyconsulting.com. You can find me there. Tons of videos, tons of content on both the collaborative part and the pitching part. If you think it might be worthwhile, by all means, reach out. I love working on winning pitches, but as you can tell, I've got an approach I know works. So if that could be of interest, by all means, let's talk.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. This has been amazing. Pleasure. And there you have it. So we just took that pitch and we turned it upside down. So I hope you all took something important away from this, which is don't focus on the PowerPoint, focus on the relationship. And with that, I say goodbye and thank you for listening. And that's it for us today. Thank you for listening and watching the Business Growth Architect Show. I enjoyed having you here. And for accountability, just take one of the strategies that you have heard, one thing that you can implement in your business immediately. Please leave comments. Don't forget to like and share this show. And if you have any questions about business, please put them in the comments. We are here for you. We're here to support you and help you to grow, build, and scale your own business. For more advice, please check out our website in the show notes below. Thank you again. This is Beate Gillette, the Growth Architect, and goodbye.